Can you hear me now? Should be able to. All right, we're gonna give everybody just a couple more minutes. I see we have some people actually joining in on the stream. We have I'm letting some people come into Discord. Make sure the audio is going to be good. If you're in the Discord server, you are not going to be able to see my camera, but if you're on the stream, you will. If you are listening in Discord and the stream at the same time, it's about 30 seconds delayed, so good luck. It's going to make it very weird to hear everything. We're going to hang out here. Discord screen is going to be on Symbility right now. If you guys have questions in the Discord, you obviously post them in the chat. We've tried to figure out why you can't talk. I definitely blame, probably just blame Kevin for that one. Just to find somebody to blame on. Brandon, you can watch it anywhere you want to watch. It literally does not matter. It's going to be the same anywhere. If you don't want to see my camera, then don't watch on Facebook. If you want to see my camera, then watch on Facebook. You know, it's that's the way it is. We have this beautiful background that has been designed by our fantastic Mr. Anthony. The Facebook, so Jen, the screen share, if you hold on one second, I'll show you the screen share on the Facebook Live. It's not actually screen sharing. I'm literally streaming directly from my computer. So I've set up the capture windows and everything on it. You'll see in a second. We'll see what it looks like. And I just need somebody to tell me exactly what it looks like when it goes up and when it comes down. All right. 5 minutes after, we've got people on the Facebook, people in the Discord. You guys ready? Jen, is there anybody that you want to text that needs to be in here from Visionary? Has everybody done the @ in the announcement? Did we do a global announcement? Yep. All right, we did. So that is what it is then. Send out a couple texts. I'll get everybody going for now. Those of you who do not know me, I see somebody in the Discord that I have no idea who it is. If you do not know me, my name is Nick. I am, I guess you could say, one of the co-founders of Adjuster Insights. Previously a vice president of a large IA firm, and my background is in quality control. It's what I'm good at. So what we do is essentially the most important job, in my opinion, of anybody is quality control. We're the last stop before it gets to the insurance carrier, and that's why it's important that we know the software, understand it, where it's at, and how to use it appropriately. On Facebook, I am actually probably not going to comment, by the way. Remember, I have severe ADD, so I will be bouncing back and forth all over the place. I am trying to be as calm and maintained as I can, but as stuff starts popping up, man, I'll just start flying everywhere. So tonight is essentially just going to be a Symbility refresh. Some of you know it, some of you don't. Some of you have been working in it. If you need to find, I'm actually going to text this guy right now because I need him in this. If you have never used Symbility, you're really missing out. Symbility is so much easier of a software. Okay, so, and if we're ready to go, Jen, Anthony, Kevin, you tell me to fire it off and I'll kick it off. If you want to start with the information, we got everybody that we need and everybody else can jump in. I'll fire it up. You let me know. All right, good. Well, then they'll miss out and be where they are. Luke, I see you guys in there. Everybody down there. So Symbility at its core is it's kind of the same as Xactimate, but then it's vastly different. So where Xactimate spent all their money at is the software is meant for sketching, estimating, interfacing, and everything like that, right? They wanted to make the most robust sketching material. They wanted to be able to take it to be 3D, to be vertex, to be angles, and do it good. Symbility kind of took the opposite approach. Symbility has made partnerships with AI vendors, has easier integrations, easier sandboxes for API, and easier user interfaces. The difference between the two is very minimal in the grand scheme of what they accomplish. But if you don't understand the way they're designed, you don't understand why the software works. Xactimate does not care that your photo pages have to go in folders, or that, sometimes it screws up and crashes in exact analysis, because they still have the superior sketching and the technical side, I guess you could say. Symbility has crashed on me maybe once in the last 6 months, and that was actually today. It's built to run. It'll stay open longer without crashing out. It's user friendly. Its interface is meant to kind of be simplistic. Everybody is scared of it because you think, oh, it's Symbility. It's such lower priced. It's so, oh, I don't know what to do. All these line items are called different stuff. It's exactly the same, and I can actually write higher priced estimates in Symbility than you can in Xactimate if you know how to use it. The difference between the two in the estimating side, and I'm just giving you, like I said, a little background before we jump into the technical side so you understand it. Symbility is a la carte, okay? So your whole principle here is that it takes 2 line items to do 10 operations in Xactimate. In Symbility, it takes 10 line items to do 10 operations. It's the same material. It's the same order of operations. Insulation is the same in Symbility as it is in Xactimate, but you actually do have to detach and reset the light fixture. You do have to mask. You do have to drop and bag ceiling fans. You do have to detach and reset HVAC registers. You're able to dial it down and get it to a level to where you will have 10 line items versus 2 in Xactimate. So if you don't know how to estimate, your estimates will always be low. You'll always have supplements, and you'll constantly be wondering, why are things coming back to me? Is because you don't, and I'm not saying you do, you don't, so excuse me, and don't get offended by acting like you don't. But if you don't understand how the process operates, or the software operates at its core, you can't properly put an estimate together. The biggest thing is the lack of combination line items. Xactimate has things in there about labor inclusions, and the difference between seal, prime, and paint versus prime and paint separately. Doesn't work that way in Symbility. It's very easy once you get in it and understand it, because we have built line item batches for you. And that's a big thing that you don't have in a lot of places. Is you open it up the first time and you're like, man, what do I use? We have those. And if you don't have them, I can show you how to get them. Any firm that you work for, you typically can request them, or I can show you how to make your own. And that way, once you get it right the first time, you can save it, and then you're right every time from there. So, is there any questions on that side of the core differences of kind of the design of the software? The a la carte versus combo line items. And you can type in the Discord. You can text me. You can't speak because apparently the button's broken. So if you have any questions, you can type them. All right, perfect. So what we're going to do is I'm going to move to actually sharing Symbility. And if we're ready for this, if it is set up right, it is. I need somebody, once this goes on the stream, I need somebody to tell me exactly the size of this on the stream, or if I'm going to need to swap to the zoomed in view on the Facebook stream. Anybody? Does it look good? Any takers? Any helpers? Or if I need to swap to the actual closer view. Because this is just a general oversight. All right, so zooming a bit is gonna suck, but I can do. Nope. that part didn't work. So let's try this part. Okay, easier on here. All right. So when you're when we're in a claim, by the way, when you open claims and mess with it, it messes it up. So I'm in a claim that is just a created claim. It looks a little different. You're going to notice that, obviously the main differences in between Symbility and Xactimate are how the timeline and the tree operates. And if you look over here on the left-hand side, your timeline is exactly, I don't even know what these notes say. It's got to be careful. Your timeline is everything you'll see on the web page, right? All of your stuff is going to hang out on the left-hand side. And when everything hangs out on the left-hand side, it has all your estimate, it has all your diagrams, it has everything that you need on the left-hand side. Previously, and I say previously here because believe me when I tell you that this used to be a little easier. In previous iterations of this software, it used to not be so hidden. Now it is hidden. And so you have to kind of play around to find it. When you open a file, you're going to see nothing but this. Everything's going to be collapsed. I'm going to have to move this. This is driving me nuts, Anthony. You're going to have to give me 1 second. Because the whole tree... Give me 1 second, folks. All right, that should be better. Your whole left-hand side over here is where everything is going to live. You're going to have your photos, you're going to have your diagrams, you're going to have your estimates. When you open a claim that has just been assigned, and yeah, I would also recommend doing this as full screen. When you have a claim assigned, you have to create everything manually. All right? So your photos, you go into the photo tab, and again, I'm going to try to, keep the buttons zoomed in here. I'm old school, and I like to create a folder, and then I like to drop my photos in it. The Symbility Capture app actually has a way to put the photos directly into the file. Symbility Capture works a lot better than Xactimate Mobile, in my opinions, and it puts them directly in the file. You got to add a photo folder. You don't add one for every room. This is a little bit different than Xactimate, right? You're not going to add one for every room. You can add one for individual elevations if you want to. You can add it for anything you want. You'll add a folder and you drop your photos in it. The photos do the same way, right? If you have a folder with photos and whatever direction you drop them in is the direction it's going to import. So remember that if you're adding photos and you're like, why are my photos importing backwards? It's because you clicked them backwards. If you click them all the way through and you drop them just straight in from the first photo in, they import all the way. Now, you didn't see that on my screen because that wasn't shown. But I just imported. I took them in this order, by the way. You take them in the order you want them in. You click the first photo. You click the last photo. And it drops them all in. It's painless as can be. You can filter through and delete out what you want. You see the full quality previews here. This is a pretty straightforward process and easy to do. To me, and this is just me, to me, Symbility is easier with the photos in Xactimate because you don't have to sketch, you don't have to drop them in the folders, you don't have to worry about them being unassigned, you don't have to worry about them being named. You name them whatever you want. Labeling photos in Symbility used to be a lot of fun. Now it's kind of a nightmare, and I am sorry about that. Symbility, if you're listening, please forgive me. This update actually just completely melted everything that we used to like about photos. You can click the individual photo and label your description down here in the bottom, which you can't see until... Boop, boop. You can't see the bottom on that screen, but if you edit, click here, edit the description, and it'll bring a little box up, which doesn't get captured by the stream because welcome to software. Brings a little box, you type your, and there you go. Puts your name in there for you to where you can see it. I'll type it on this one where you can see. Yep, you see that box pop up in the bottom of my screen. Drop it in for an elevation. You can mass label, but I'm going to warn you for this. For all you guys that have used it, don't use it that often or are nervous about it. Yeah, you can't see the pop-ups unless I do the display capture. Is mass labeling will burn you. And when I tell you it will burn you, it will massively burn you. And ask me how me and half the other people in this chat have accidentally mislabeled 90 photos or accidentally deleted 90 photos. So if you are mass labeling, just make sure you're very careful of what you do. Edit your descriptions, highlight the photos, and just say, you know, call them whatever you want. And I'm going to show you where the hiccup is. You can see those photos did not unselect. You will go to label another photo, and it does not deselect the next photo. Okay? So you so if you click another photo way down here, and then you go to edit the description and you say bedroom overview, take a guess what it just named every one of these photos back up here. Write this down, save it, call it your Bible, whatever you want to do. Select all, and then deselect all. All the way at the top, select all, and then deselect all the photos. Double click select all. That is the answer to all of your problems. And you say, surely it's not that bad. It is 100% that bad. I lost 276 photos. I literally closed the file and I gave up for the night. I was done at that point. I was cooked. So again, this is all similar, right? Everybody knows how to label photos. Mass labeling is still a thing. You know, you want to do living room, water damage to ceiling. There you go. Come click, be done. And you can click several, edit the descriptions, whatever you want to call them. Living room, overview. I'm going to the top again, double click, select all, and then unclicking to check it. Once you get the hang of it, it'll go really fast. I don't do individual folders per rooms. If you work for a firm that requires you to do individual folders per rooms and things, that's their prerogative to do so. And they are well within their rights to request that. But I do not do that. I'm so sorry. I'm getting text messages. I just label them all and then I name them what I want to name them, right? Simple as can be. By the way, you guys are probably looking at like, man, what a freaking great inspection and great clarity on this. Don't ask me about my pentagram. I'll tell you about that later. But how clear these photos are and how great and non-blurry they are. Yeah, you're welcome. It's your boy. But this is actually, you know, Symbility does a size. There's a lot easier size management as well for photos than it is in Xactimate. So, I mean, just look at this. Just crystal clear detail. It's actually really funny. There's an adjuster that's watching right now that was also at this same house before me. So that's photos in a nutshell. You have to create the folders. When you add your folder up at the top, you can name your folder whatever you want, and you literally just drag and drop. The key thing to remember dragging and dropping, and again, I'm not going in depth on this stuff. I'm going to try to blast through just high level everything. The order you drop them in is the order they're going to import in. If you take them in order and you organize them in your folder in order, when you drop them in Symbility, shift click and click the very first photo in the folder and drop it, it will drop them in the exact order they're set up in the folder. And if you follow a system like me and you're pretty sure I'm actually like front right, rear left, and so if whatever way your narratives flow and the way you follow. Depends on if there's a dog, if there's a fence, you know, or something over there. By the way, I did not get up there on that ladder. Not my ladder. I don't recommend anybody actually do that. So I follow the system front, right, rear, left, and the photos go in the order that I took them. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on photos or labeling photos or anything like that before we move to the good old handy dandy inside? And the guy, the adjuster actually just recognized the claim I was showing. Are there any questions on this part? Is anybody not sure how to create a photo page or need me to go back to any point before we move on? Going once, going twice. Oh, I see Brandon typing. What you got, Brandon? I really got to figure out why I can't let y'all talk, but that's a story for another day. Show them how to move them. Good call. If you do have the photos disorganized, okay? If they are out of order and you need to move them, everything applies basically the same as selecting the photos, making sure that, hold on one second, that they are all highlighted that you want to move, and you can click them and drag them. When you see this on my screen, you're going to see the orange bar pop up. Okay, that's going to take those photos and put them where that orange bar is. So you select the photos you need to move. Say we got these photos here. They're in the living room and they're out of order. When you go to move them, you're going to see the orange bar appear. And when the orange bar appears, that's where it's going to drop those photos, either before that picture or after that picture, wherever you put that orange bar, and it moves them down. If you're not paying attention, you will literally go down here and try to collect more photos to move. And then when you try to move these photos, you're going to bring the other ones from the top with you. Everything you do, click select all and double click after you manipulate any photos. Because now I just moved my living room photos and my bedroom photos all the way down here with the other photos because I didn't follow the golden rule to double click select all like Luke and them suggested. Anytime you move one, have to double click to deselect, or you will end up reorganizing. You can press Control Z, and undo it and kind of try to put them back. Sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes you're just stuck and you're messed up. I can see somebody that requested to speak, but I don't know if I'd allow the speaking right now. Hold off on that. So annotations is what Jen requested. And then annotations is the same way. Get into your photos. You can take your pen. You can set your size, the pen, your annotations, everything's on the left. Oh, okay. All right, give me just 1 second, and then I'll bring you in here. In the upper left-hand corner, and I got to make sure that, let me see if this works. Yep, there you go. So Discord, you're out of luck. Facebook, you're going to be able to see the zoomed in screen in the upper left-hand corner. In the upper left-hand corner, you have all your annotations. You have your pen, your highlighter, eraser. I highly recommend just doing like a pen with a medium point, getting it a nice red color, and highlighting whatever you want to highlight to the best of your ability, okay? I saw a couple people take it and do marker, and you have really weird lines and really weird colors, or you do a highlighter like this, and that's not right. Pen is the best way to do it. Take it with a medium point and draw it as nice as you can. If you don't want to draw it, there are call outs, shape boxes. There are actually built-in rectangles for you. All in the upper left-hand corner, you have everything you need to document, right? It is, you can annotate, you call out, you want to do an arrow, draw your arrows. I do a lot of arrows. I do a lot of lines. You want to put a text box. Damage here from raccoon, whatever you want to call it. I misspelled that word. Here's a note, though, for adjusters and for QA to look for. 99% of quality control reviewers are not going to read this text box on a picture, but the desk adjuster will. So keep in mind, if you put something in a text box, and your file is changed, or if your file is, you know, adjusted in any way, it's highly likely that it will not be caught by somebody. So I avoid these. I avoid text boxes unless I absolutely have to. Sometimes they're necessary, but you could also just tell me the exact same thing in the photo label, right? Would make life incredibly easy. A nice arrow, a nice circle, all of it works. You know, you have an eraser if you draw your lines, and then you can Control Z and back everything out. Christian, all right, I'm gonna open this for you for 1 second, and then, all right, what do you got?
Listen, so I am notoriously bad at taking photos out of order. I don't necessarily do the claim in the same order every time. So sometimes I'll have my roof pictures first or my interior photos first, and I do a lot of movement when it comes to the moving the pictures. And so when you go to select all the photos and then you click and hold and drag them to wherever you want them to be, like say you had 15 photos at the end of the claim that you wanted to be at the beginning of the claim, the best way that I found it, rather than holding and dragging, is select all the ones that you want. And then instead of holding and dragging, go to where you want to move them to, and then select the picture you want them next to. So if you say you just select that one, hit control, and now you can move them. So like there you go.
I did not know that. So you did. So I selected them and I held down control, and when I clicked, it gave me the option to move them right there. That is that's an extremely useful trick that I did not know. I don't do enough photos like that, but that is correct. So
I am, so if you if you're scrolling with all your pictures and you let go of the mouse, you have to redo it. It is so frustrating. So that's a great trick.
No, good. Well, thank you for that. I'm gonna kick you out now and put you back in the audience. Boop. All right. So if you heard that, then good. Control, click, and dragging. That was good. All right. Everybody good on pictures? Everybody good on moving? Again, I'm sorry I'm not going super in depth because we have I could literally spend 10 hours doing this. This is everybody's fun part. Where we're going to go to is, actually, I lied. I am not going to estimates yet. I'm going to reports. When you get a claim created by, where's this at? When you get a claim created by any other IA firm that is a manual creation that doesn't come from a carrier, okay? Typically, when you open it up, this is what it looks like. If they don't use forms or they don't have loss templates within Symbility or something of that nature, it's going to be totally empty until you hit the edit button. Right up here. Hit your edit button, open it up. Once you hit the edit button, you'll see these options: general information, reports, policy. It will be locked for you. You will not be able to edit a lot of the information, but you can edit some of it. So I own this claim, so I'm going to be able to edit all of it. But most of this should be grayed out to you here in this area, and you should not be able to see anything except for, I'm broadcasting my email to the world, RIP, except for what you can change. If you have a firm that uses narrative templates like Visionary or like we used to back in the day at CCA, you have to click the report button and it will expand the report section. And you may say, oh, wow, now it makes sense why the template has those lines in it. That is correct. Each one of these areas has a section for a template of where they go, okay? Excuse me. So basically, you copy your narrative, write your narrative, spell check your narrative, and then paste it into Symbility. So I'm going to go grab one just because we're doing it. And it's basically, if you don't hit the edit button, I've actually had several adjusters this week have problems with this because they didn't hit the edit button. And when you don't hit the edit button, you don't see anything. And if there's not anything typed in the initial loss report or whatever the case may be, you're not going to see it. So you literally are writing your narrative in Word and you copy and paste it. And what I'm about to do is show you something that some of y'all clearly have never heard of called formatting. But it helps is once you copy and paste, it doesn't keep the same structure, okay? So just remember this for your firms or for your reviewers. It doesn't keep the same structure. Sometimes things got to get spaced. But that's it. That's literally taking your entire narrative. You've already written it. You've already done it. You're dropping it in. And, you know, this doesn't have any names in it, so it's okay. It's just a fire claim narrative. Once you click save on this, and the edit button is deselected, that is now the report button. You see that? You don't have to have the edit button selected now, you know, to view it when it's there. It'll show up. But if you don't hit that edit button first in the upper left-hand corner, and you just are up here wanting to look at it, if you don't hit this edit button, none of this is going to appear. Your Word templates, this is firm specific, mind you, it's firm specific. So if your firms want them loaded as a template or use a short form written form inside Symbility, whatever the case may be, totally fine. But for 90% of the purposes of manually created files or running through, if you have a template, this is the way it works. It doesn't have tokens like Xactimate. It's literally just taking it and copying and pasting it. You have the Word doc, you paste it inside, and when you print, you have the option to print this as well. Are there any questions for how to access the reports or confusion on the narratives at that point? Because believe it or not, there's actually several adjusters that have never had to do this. I see somebody typing. I can't tell who it is because it's there. Just go, how to write a narrative. We're not even getting into how to write a narrative. This is simply how to put one together. Now, I want to tell you something while I'm here. In situations where, and I'll go back over here, the more carriers you work for, so if you have a carrier-specific profile, okay, SageSure, Erie, Liberty Mutual, Safeco, Clear Blue, Swift, all of these carriers that use Symbility, it's going to look totally different. There will be forms, there will be integrations, there will be partner buttons here, there will be hover, there will be iTail, there will be material supply warehouse. Everything will look totally different than what you see on my screen, okay? So don't think that this is what it's going to look like every time. Your firm and your carriers will have specific details. I don't have a shared file active right now, so I can't show you that. It's going to have their adjusters in here. You're going to have the desk adjuster's name. You're going to have the claim contact's name. Everybody's going to be in here, and everything will be live action if it's shared directly from a carrier. So bear in mind that while this is straightforward here now, there may be forms and things different to this that require you to click a different button. A lot of this is the process Visionary Claims Group follows, and you know, a lot of the manual entry files that several of us work with. If it's not a big carrier, they don't have their own forms and they don't have their own processes. Tower Hill is one that has their own forms. They have their own iTail request, material supply warehouse. All that integrates on this left-hand side. Your screen over here would be massive. You've got valuations, all of it. All right. So again, general information, have to click the edit button or the reports are not going to show up. Once they're in there, copy and paste it in. Any question on getting to that part thus far? Nope, perfect. And like I said, some of you know how to do this, and some of you don't. There, if you do, great, and so if you don't, also great. And then if you do, and I'm doing it wrong, please tell me because I'll just blame Anthony. Now, the really fun part that everybody likes and that everybody seems to be scared of is estimating in Symbility. I'm going to be 100% transparent. I use batches about 10% of the time. And you may say, well, why do you do that? A, I probably have a sickness, but B, I have a method when I'm building a claim that I build a catch-all room. Okay. So I build one room 100% to completion. Do not pass go. Do not collect $100. I do not leave that room until every operation within that room is completed. And once it's done, if the claim is the same throughout the rest of the house, I'm simply going to copy and paste. In my mind, and this is just me, and again, I may have been dropped a few times. In my mind, it's easier to me, and Brandon, I'm going to tell you that's a good thing, but I'm going to tell you why they're terrible at the same time. In my mind, it's easier to me if I finish one room completely and then I can copy and paste versus if I try to piecemeal it out, right? So I only have one apparently incredibly massive room here, so let me fix this. But if you're doing multiple rooms or multiple things and they're all the same, this is the way my brain works, right? So if your brain doesn't work this way, that's totally fine and understandable. Don't think what I do is the gospel or how it works. I'm weird. If you have the same finishes, the same general scope, and the same overall reaching, goal, copying and pasting and building one room is simple to do. The problem with copy and paste, and this is on you and your process and how you have to fix it as an adjuster, is if you copy and paste, 9 times out of 10, stupid things are going to happen. And you can say, well, what kind of stupid things? If your windows aren't drawn and you copy and paste, it's going to put a 0 quantity line item in there. If your doors aren't drawn and you copy and paste, it's going to put a 0 quantity line item. It's not going to adjust like Xactimate will and backfill the variable. And I don't know if some of you have ever noticed that, but if you fix a sketch on Xactimate, it will automatically repopulate your quantities. Symbility is not going to. It's going to leave it right there. So you need to make sure if you're copying and pasting that you're, looking at the right percentage of the waste, you're looking at the right doors, you're looking at the right windows, that everything is in there that needs to be done, because it will swap and it will change casings to both sides. It will change doors to both sides, and it will double up and triple up quantities and mess stuff up, right? This is the part I mentioned early on in the call. Symbility's estimating is not as intuitive as Xactimate. It's not. But it's very simple once you understand it. Okay? It's just not a I don't know, it's not a smart estimating platform. And I see you guys typing some things in there that I'm going to get to that I promise I'm going to tell you. When you're sketching out, and by the way, if you don't know how to sketch in Symbility, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on sketch because it's kind of terrible, and Brandon and them made fun of me the other night based on how I sketch, so we're not going to really look at that. It's kind of the same as Xactimate. They have walls, they have rooms, they have windows, you have buttons you can press. There are no angles. There are no tray ceilings. There are very few ways to properly pull off pitches, slope ceilings. You can set ceiling height, which, is this little box right here. The 8 is ceiling height. So you can adjust ceiling height and things, but 90% of the time, you're going to have a very basic sketch in Symbility. You can set the ceilings, right click, set your properties. look at the ceiling height, set it as flat, set it as peaked, whatever the case you want to be. And you can see which way the peak flows, right? And you can actually, there's a way to do it somewhere up here, but you can adjust the peak and make it go around. I just broke Symbility. There we go. You can adjust the peaks and make it move in times, and it will slope it out. And so you go to this room, it shows flat. Go to this room, it shows peaked. Kind of navigate your way around. Click the opposite wall, and you see it change my slope. So it's doable, and you can set the distance to the peak, and then it tells you it's impossible to do that, and then it resets all your crap. Telling you, it can get extremely confusing, all right? 9 times out of 10, if you've got it peaked, you got it sloped, you got it as close as you can get, most IA firms are going to be cool with it. This is firm specific. This is carrier specific. Please check with your managers before you do so and don't say, Nick told me that I didn't have to sketch a pitch ceiling. That happens all the time. It's firm specific. I very rarely do it unless it's extremely necessary with differing wall heights. Just because it's a pain in the butt to do it in Symbility, right? Same basic concept. Take a room, drop your measurements, and you name it. Sketching can be blocks. You're not going to be able to do angles. You have freeform. If you want to freeform a room and try to angle something, make something cool happen, it'll do some weird stuff, but it's still not, you can't do arch walls. I don't think you can do arch openings. I don't even think you can count for arch drywall, wrapped in an opening. Not as intuitive on sketching and estimating. So not going to spend a lot of time on that. Estimating. Where am I at? Boop. Okay, Discord, you're stuck on the small screen. Everybody in Facebook gets to see the zoomed in version. Items in Xactimate, and Dan typed it earlier, but now Dan has gone. He's abandoned us. But items in Symbility and Xactimate are the exact same items. They're just named differently. Okay? Drywall in Xactimate is drywall in Symbility. Alright? If you go look up drywall 1/2, I'm going to tell you in Xactimate it's going to have the exact same line items that it's going to have in Symbility. 1/2 inch taped drywall. There is no reason that you should be using anything different except what it is. Drywall is drywall. Floor is floor. Paint is paint. Okay? Simsol. Drywall is drywall. Paint is paint. Floor is floor. Hardwood floor is not going to change between softwares. Drywall is not going to change between softwares. Don't be terrified because you open it up and you're like, oh no, I don't know what to do. I don't know if you've noticed, but there are also categories in here. And if you look in the categories, if I zoomed out, you can see this category is drywall, DRY. Do you know why they exist in categories? Because Xactimate also has categories, but they're referred to as labor codes. Okay? The category selector, or what we like to say, sometimes labor codes. You're going to have drywall and Xactimate is DRY 1/2. It's going to be 1/2 minus, or it's going to be 1/2 and then 1/2 plus plus. This is the exact same thing. 1/2 right here is drywall 1/2 in the DRY category. Okay? This is going to be your 1/2 plus. Or this is your 1/2 minus and this is your 1/2 plus. It's the exact same thing. The name and the variations are what's different with the actions. Okay? But drywall doesn't change from software to software. So don't be scared and think you don't know what to estimate. If you know how to use Xactimate, you should know how to use Symbility. You're going to tear out the drywall, tear out the insulation, prime it, and paint it and put it back, right? If you look at it in its most simple form, that's exactly what you do on every claim you've ever touched. A claim today in Symbility is the same as a claim tomorrow in Xactimate. And if you understand that and grasp that concept, now you can go tell firms, hey, I know Symbility because it's literally the exact same line items. It's just named differently for action. All right? I don't use batches. And you say, why not? Don't know. Just makes the way my brain works, right? Excuse me. So Brandon typed in the chat, and this is the property, the problem with copying and pasting. If you change the quantity of a line item, so if you take this line item and you hover over a room, you see, oh, actually, no, you don't see. Let me see if I can bring that in here. If you hover this over a room, it's going to show a red number and a C. You see the orange C lights up, okay? Now, you can put this on the floor, but that'd be really dumb because it goes on the ceiling. It has that kind of intuition with it, okay? It tells you where it goes. This is the whole room quantity. When you drop drywall, anything in a room, and you need to change the quantity, you can drop it and click the red numbers right there. You can change it, say it's one sheet, change it to 32, and that's done, okay? Now, what Brandon was saying earlier is if you change quantities, and if I copy and paste this, it's not going to autofill the whole ceiling. It's going to take whatever you manually entered, that's what's going to paste, okay? So that's why I said you have to double check your quantities. Say you had to change some tear out or some replacement on some flooring or a small section. You did 12 linear feet of baseboard. You'll end up copying and pasting 12 linear feet of baseboard through every room. And then you'll be like, oh, crap. Where did I mess up? Well, you messed up in the first room you created. All right. You drop in your drywall. And I'm just searching for the line items. I just typed in, dude, this is driving me nuts on having to move this. I just typed in prime drywall. So there's prime drywall ceiling. I'm going to do 32 square feet. I'm going to type in paint drywall. Drywall ceiling, paint 2 coats. I'm going to type in insulation blown. Looks like some good 8-inch cellulose. Take it, drop it, match the drywall. I have now successfully estimated a ceiling repair for a water stain, and I didn't use any match. I didn't use any macros. I simply just typed the words that I wanted. So it's nothing to be scared of, right? If you understand the operations in the basics, there's no reason to not like to use the software. So you got to detach and reset a light fixture. This is where the variations come in. And you can write this down if you want, if you're taking notes. If you're not, fine, it'll be recorded, I guess. In Xactimate, it's detach and reset, okay? In Symbility, it's remove and reset. So if you type the word detach in Symbility, you're going to see some just absolute garbage of line items. It is detach and reset in Xactimate, remove and reset in Symbility. So you want a light fixture, remove/reset, and it's going to bring you up everything that you want to see light fixture, remove and reset wise. So you need a light fixture on the ceiling that's good quality. Perfect. Remove and reset. You need a heat register. You're going to search heat register. Remove/reset. Now you have your whole selection of air returns to remove and reset. Perfect. You need to drop and bag a ceiling fan. Okay, well, apparently that's not a real line item. It is a drop and bag a light fixture. There you go. If you think about what you have to do and you type it, it's the exact same thing. It's just it's specific, right? You can't say, like I said, detach and reset doesn't exist. That's going to bring you to some mitigation crap, and you're going to be opening up access doors and weird stuff. The actions are R&R in Xactimate is tear out and replace in Symbility. I would stay away from remove Excuse me, sorry, I keep having a cough with that. I would stay away from the remove option. And you say, why does that matter? Because the remove is selective demolition. Okay, that is a higher price labor that if you are doing a very confined repair, you need to remove something with delicacy. Okay, that's why it's double the price of the tear out. Typical operations are tear out and replace. Remove is if you're doing very selective demolition. I do not actually use it, except in ridge shingles on roofs, I think. I don't know if I've used remove at any time. Most of these people are going in here with shovels and hammers and just slinging through drywalls anyways, right? So your estimate could be done. This could be done. Most carriers don't want you taking waste off. For my purposes, I'm taking the waste off. I'm pretty sure Sage Sure, American Modern, and carriers like that actually want you to leave it on. So again, firm specific if you leave on waste on items. Your estimate could be done, but we want to be cool. And I'm going to show you how to join the Cool Kids Club is adding a title to the estimate. I take line item breaks for everything. And you say, well, why does this matter? This is a waste of time to do this. I'll give you the example. An insured, and this is MEP is mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, by the way. An insured is going to receive a copy of your estimate. All right? That's it. So if you're a homeowner, I want you to think about this. If you're a homeowner and you receive an estimate that you wrote, and this is as true story as it's going to get, the homeowner only sees that piece of paper you turn in. So you think if it was your grandmother on the other side of the coin, okay? If it is your grandma and Meemaw is going to call you up and say, oh, I just use Tanner as an example. Tanner, I got this whole jumbled mess for my insurance adjuster. What does it say? Then you're going to be mad that adjuster put some trash together for your grandmother. Cleanliness, organization, estimate flow is where it's at, right? If you don't know what happens when you press that button, you don't understand the repercussions for doing something halfway or hurriedly. You're a homeowner and this is what you want to receive. Titles are right up here. If it's a wind claim, I go top down. If it's a water claim, I go bottom up. The batches, I'm going to show you them just because they're going to make your life easier and I'm a weirdo and don't use them. We have this done for you. Carrier specific, by the way, so you can save these and adjust. And I just fixed a lot of batches. I reshared again today. So if you don't have them, they will be hidden within a folder. They are all hidden within your company item badge folders. One of the guy's visionary batches was buried in there with his brush country and his cross country batches. They're all stuck together. Miss Jen and Miss Teresa and myself have taken the time to go through and fix you up some handy dandy line items to use. Okay? So you got water stain on the ceiling collapse, and you want to replace some ceiling and some flooring. Number one rule about copying and pasting from batches is do not select the items and the title at the same time because it will not let you change the quantity after. So you take your items. Oh, hold on. You got to move to the boop, boop. You're going to take your items. You're going to drop them in. And you're going to set your quantity. All right? You're going to drop your paint, which is going to work. You got to paint the walls. You know, say you got to paint the walls. You drop your wall title. You drop your paint walls 2 coats. You're looking at, we got to tear out the flooring, right? So now we're going to go to the flooring. And again, we're going back to the batches. And I got to replace some subfloor with carpet. I'm going to take the title in. Drop the title. I'm going to drop my subfloor and my scrape glue. I'm going to replace my sheet. I'm going to take the nailers. And again, I can explain estimatics later. I'm just literally showing you how to use the software. I'm going to drop the carpet. And I'm going to prep. I'm going to give them 3 hours because it's a bedroom. And I'm going to clean up. I'm going to take the waste off everything. And I will explain some of the decisions behind my actions later. But now you have officially estimated a typical residential home or a mobile home with a water collapsed ceiling and damaged subfloor and carpet. Your estimate's done. So the batches help you tremendously. You learn them and you read them and you understand them, right? You want to look at the line items and kind of understand what it is. Why do we not have prep and mask in this batch for interior flooring? If nobody wants to guess, I'll tell you. It's because you're tearing out the flooring. I'm not masking it. That you may think that's dumb, and you may think that that just doesn't make sense. That's just me trying to save $1. I've argued that with attorneys. Why would I mask the floor or mask the walls if I'm literally painting the walls and I'm tearing out and replacing the flooring? Makes no sense. So there's reasons these batches are set up specifically, right? You can customize them and make your own batch however you want. Literally, go create a batch, add a batch, call it new batch, super cool batch, whatever you want to call it. Go take my items, highlight them, and click add to batch, and put them in your new batch, super cool batch, and there they are. Now you have your own batches, and you don't have to worry about if you ever get fired and get removed from a company, they stay with you. I'm not saying steal my batches, but, maybe. You can make them your own. You can customize them. You can do whatever you want, right? They will save your life. Assemblies, and then this is the last thing I'm hitting on the estimatics. Assemblies are pre-built tools that are supposed to be good for you to use. And Brandon said they are good. I'm going to tell you why assemblies suck. Not necessarily they don't suck. I lied. That's bad phrasing. If you have no idea what you are doing in Symbility and assemblies are not good. The reason being is they do not follow parameters set within the software designed by your carriers or by your specific profile. Your depreciation settings, your labor applications, your actions, everything can be wrong if an assembly isn't properly used. To use an assembly, you just click the assembly button, and I'm going to flip out to where you're going to actually see the roof when I have to do this pop-up. You're going to drag the assembly and drop it. If you drop it on a single slope, it's only going to do a single slope. If you drop it off in the bottom down here, it'll let you do the whole roof. Now, there's actually not a good way to do that. So, okay, the assembly's right here. This is the assembly. And sometimes they're good. Sometimes they're very, very bad. You have to answer everything. Select your coverage. Select your scope. Full repair. 15 years. Select your material. Starter row. ITEL pricing. Cornice returns. Underlayment. Ice and water shield. Redecking. Renailed. This is law and ordinance for high wind speeds. Law and ordinance by code. Rake and eave. Gutter apron. That's typically not there. You have to fill out everything. Because if you don't, it will do it wrong. Okay? So I'm going to do this for you and just to show you one right now. And dude, I don't know what that's doing. We're going to add some vents. You have to set the quantities. You have to set spark arresters. You have to set everything you want. So change it to replace. 6-inch. And I'm just doing this to show you something really quick. Satellite dish. No gutters. No fascia. You need a debris removal. Add one. And generate. Now what this is about to do is spit this out. Hopefully, if I didn't just break my Symbility, which is very likely that I did, It puts it here, and this is what it built for you. Now, the problem with this is your depreciation settings can be wrong. Mine is obviously right because I created the claim, but your depreciation settings can be wrong. Your allowances can be wrong. Your actions can be wrong. Your waste can be wrong. So make sure you double check all of that. Assemblies will automatically depreciate to unit price instead of materials only sometimes. Everything, and you're better off using a good batch than going through that work with assemblies. You are correct. I have never used an assembly unless I just truly did not know what I was looking for. Now, there is some junk in here that assemblies can be good for. Like if you don't know low slope roofing, you're looking for some commercial, you're looking for some tile, you're looking for something like that, fine. That's how you're going to have to do it. And I just realized that the Discord never even saw that screen, but the Facebook did because that display captured it. So, sorry, Discord. That is assemblies and estimating. All right. I'm going to pause here because this is a big part that trips a lot of people up, that everybody seems to have trouble accurately putting estimates together. They'll have tax exclusions. I'm going to show you everybody just kind of, if you have questions, talk about it. Because what I'm going to do right now is swap. I'm actually going to swap scenes on the stream, but you in the Discord will still see my screen. If anybody has a question, please ask me about estimating, because I'm about to build something really quick and show some tips and tricks before we move on to the end. Anybody in here have any questions, or anybody see any questions on Facebook? Are you confused on anything? Does anything not make sense? Did I do anything wrong? I probably did a lot of things wrong, but, you know. Also, I'm going to blame Jen for putting recalibrate in my batch. That's Jen's fault. And by the way, for our purposes and for 90% of firms, unless you're told otherwise, every claim needs a debris removal. Literally every claim. I got to do something really quick because, okay. I'm going to show everybody. So nobody has any questions on estimating before I go to the last part of tips and tricks and then just call this good. Everybody understands that you know how to now navigate Symbility and turn in a great estimate based on just simply searching for the line items. Symbility does auto-calculate debris and help you out on that. You're correct. All right. I'm about to show you guys some tips that I like to consider these, I don't know, special secrets. I don't even know if I've ever told Brandon some of these secrets, and I've known Brandon for a long time. Symbility has a really fun thing that it will not catch sales tax sometimes. If you review your PDF, you will see that it doesn't have sales tax, Jen, and you will know that it doesn't have sales tax. So, you're having trouble getting sales tax to show up, okay? And you're just at wit's end because you cannot get sales tax to show up. You don't know what to do. Take your address that is in here, okay? Now I'm gonna show you before we do this. I do not have sales tax on this estimate. So there is no sales tax on this estimate. Everybody sees this. All right? I see Elsa, you are lost. You way too far out of it. There's no sales tax on this estimate. Xactimate auto-populates with the database. Symbility likes to have fun and not do that. Take your address and copy it out. Control-C. Go type in P.O. Box 100 and watch it ask you, and in the Discord, you're not going to see this pop up, but on Facebook you will, and watch it ask you to perform a tax lookup. Okay? and you're going to apply it to all existing estimates. You're going to paste your address back, and then you're going to click no. Okay? Once you do that and you save it, you now have sales tax on the estimate. P.O. Box 100 is the cheat code that I use. Sometimes P.O. Box 100 doesn't work. So you better just go find the local post office and copy and paste the address of the post office in there to look for it. Every town has a post office. It's going to have a P.O. box, a post office, or something somewhere, right? That's how you fix sales tax. If you're getting line item notes, and I'm not going to do this, but a lot of you are turning in claims with line item notes that show up like this. That all of your estimates are, excluded from sales tax and overhead and profit. Dude, get off my screen. And you see all these crazy line item notes that show up. I don't know how this happens. Something to do with your setup. It's got to be something to do with the way that, your Symbility setup. I don't know. Up at the top in our handy dandy search bar up here, there's a search and replace feature. Okay? I'm actually going to do this to show you how to fix both at the same time. There is a search and replace feature. And in the search and replace feature, it's going to show you how to fix the issue that we have. It was, does anybody want to tell me why that didn't show up? Nope. I'm not even going down that road. If you see a bunch of line item notes, your search and replace is your global changes, okay? Xactimate has global changes. Symbility has search and replace. Go to the top and click search. Go to the second bar and click replace. These options will always be the same. Pricing database and the Cotality database will always be the same. You can do whatever you want in the global changes. You want to change coverage? Say you accidentally created a whole estimate in the wrong coverage? Fine. Click the coverage. Click the options if it had it, because this claim freaking doesn't, because I didn't create it. Click replace all. Man. Hold on one second. Hold tight. Honestly didn't think that I wouldn't have coverage in here. So you're searching, you're replacing pricing database, Cotality, set your coverage, and set it to structure. All your line items changed, all right? And you can see everything now has structure on this column right here. You want to make sure none of them are excluded from overhead and profit. Select apply overhead and profit. The search and replace feature can do anything. If your whole estimate is depreciated by unit price only, you can actually set it to your applicability. See that? And set it to materials only. You can set your recoverability. Set the whole estimate recoverable in one button. If I had depreciation set, which you don't. So you can change anything you want in global changes. I'm not going to dive into this too deep. You can play around in them. But now my depreciation is recoverable. I'm going to make it non-recoverable. And it highlights every item that you change, right? And so you'll see the recoverable versus non-recoverable check mark show up and go away. Now you see the blue check mark that you didn't see earlier. So search and replace, great feature. Jen is correct. You can remove waste. You can change actions. You can depreciate certain items. You can depreciate certain criteria. I have literally gone down and add criteria and add the depreciation method and depreciate by percent or life expectancy. And you go in and you can add it. So you got to add your category. So now you want to depreciate all your floor covering, because say the flooring was remodeled 5 years ago, but the drywall was 50 years ago. Okay? So you want your floor covering wood, anything that's in FCW or wherever floor covering right here, FCO-wood, all right? And you want to set the depreciation method, and you do it all. You can set your life expectancy, you can set the method, you can set the actions, depreciate it by the year, do whatever you want. Lots of fun things in search and replace, but it can totally screw up your file if you're not careful. Biggest thing is fixing coverages, fixing depreciation, being recoverable. And because a lot of times if you apply the coverage and it's wrong, your depreciation is going to change when you swap it. Are there any questions, anything that anybody has for me on any of those parts? The sales tax was a big one. Oh, last but not least, if you have errors here, like some items excluded, some items overridden, take your sales tax, go to your totals layout. By the way, every time you turn on 10 and 10, you're going to have some items excluded. The only way to clear this error code is to apply overhead and profit this way and click replace all. The reason it does that, and I'm just going to be honest with anybody here, Cotality does not care about anybody else but the big guys using it. Liberty Mutual, Safeco, they change their O&P tables and their tax tables to reflect their big vendors, okay? So if you're ever wondering why sometimes things look different or sometimes things break, that's why. This is how you fix your sales tax errors. Configure totals layout. There's going to be a pop-up window show up, and you're going to change the sales tax. Facebook sees this, Discord don't, to custom. And when you click custom and click OK, it's going to clear your overrides. The way it works is it's built default by the carriers, okay? So the big carriers have overhead and profit excluded from certain line items. The big carriers have sales tax excluded. So a dumpster. Sales tax in Alabama applies to materials only. A dumpster is an equipment and a labor only. So it's going to throw an override error in the estimate every time because sales tax is excluded from that line item. Now you say, have we never seen that before? Because it just excluded it originally, but now they got to have the line items for it. Litigation, clarity, anything ambiguous rules in the favor, tie goes to the runner. So now you got to see the error, you got to see the note, you've got to see excluded from material sales tax calculation. Also pretty sure that my background just went to sleep. So that's fun. Outside of that, that's pretty much the last tip or trick that I had. Is there anything you can think of, Jen, or any questions? Anybody needs anything to go through, look at? Was it good, bad, terrible, fantastic? Do you hate it? And that's not water in my cup, by the way. We're turning up on a live stream, in case anybody was wondering. Red Solo Cup. Good. So we will dig deeper in the future on stuff. There's always opportunities to go over more things and to, to dive deep in. This was a good test run, an hour and 15 minutes. Tried to keep it to an hour, but obviously I couldn't. Is there a trick to update the batches? No. The batches that with the gray line items, there are no tricks to update that. The only way is to take the line items out that work and then add the ones that have been changed and create your own. Unless the firm updates them for you, you will not get the new company batches synced. That's on the IA firm. And again, I can't see full names, so I have no idea who that is. And again, look, Symbility, just don't be scared of it, okay? Don't be scared of it. Don't be afraid of it. It's not a bad software. It's not going to hurt you. The Symbility demon isn't real, so it can't get you. And so it's It is actually there's a lot of things going that direction, and there will be more carrier swapping. Y'all don't know that yet, but they are coming. Um, Liberty Mutual and Safeco are kind of paving the way. The pricing for interior repairs is actually higher than Exactmate if you do it right. Framing and roofing is lower, but God's honest truth, Symbility puts out $475 a square. Symbility puts out $565 a square. The roofers are getting it done for $415 a square. I mean, it's just as simple as that. If somebody tells you, I don't like you using Symbility, well, you tell them, I don't like you lying about your prices. I don't care. I negotiate claims all day, every day with Symbility. I wrote a 599 line item, $200,000 claim literally earlier in the week and got it settled with a guy from Symbility versus Exactimate. So there's no problems with the software. It is not scary. I like it 10 times more than Exactimate, and I wish everybody would use it over Exactimate because it also makes my life easier for review. There's a whole web interface version of it that we didn't even go in. So for right now, to the people watching on Facebook, I am going to end the stream. Thank you for watching. I hope you come back to the next one, and I hope it wasn't terrible. If it was, we can always blame Anthony. But I'm going to sign out on Facebook, and I'll see you next time.